Flyover State of Film was shot in front of a live studio audience.
Episode 33, Flyover State of Film. Guys, we are here, and if everyone hates our opinions, you're going to hate the next week of film. We got The Joker coming out October 4th, a week from now, and I want to ask you guys, right off the bat, what do you think the opinions are going to be? Do you think it's going to be as bad as everyone thinks it's going to be, or do you think it's going to be, another movie, another day, and we forget about it? Yusef, Brian, Joe, Flyover State of Film, what's up?
I feel that intro is very rehearsed for some reason. It felt familiar.
I think the movie's, I don't know, it's probably going to be like a good movie. I think there's going to be a lot of overreactions. I think there's already been a lot of overreactions.
It'll be like a Logan, where like it's good, but people also annoy you by talking about how good they think it is. And also the people you hate the most will love it the most.
And I think just like Logan, I think it's just one of those movies that's going to be, was clearly a script for something else, and they reskinned it as a Joker movie.
It's a King of Comedy remake, really, is what it is. And then they just reskinned it with the Joker. So the two things the internet complain about the most, remakes and comic book movies, they meshed it together, and internet and film Twitter was like, yes, I do look like this, in fact.
One thing that
I won't lie, I'm with Joe, whereas like I sit there and I watch a preview and I kind of rail against it, but I'm like, I don't know, this actually could be kind of good.
Yeah.
But then they have shit like, I think that's Thomas Wayne punching him in the trailer, and I'm like, that's going to be bad. You're actually literally taking the victim of the whole Batman story, the like impetus, and making him somehow responsible for the Joker. Well, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, the one thing I like about like the reviews that I've seen coming out of it are the things of, oh, this is very unforgiving and it doesn't let up, and it's not trying to sell an anti-hero or a victim. That's what like universally every sort of review I've seen had said by that. I mean,
shit, if it's Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer where he becomes the Joker at the end, I'm fucking into it. That sounds kind of badass.
I haven't read any reviews because I don't like to read reviews because reviews suck and people who write reviews are pussies.
Yeah, mostly people who write reviews or like people who like take these long hiatuses from writing reviews. Yeah, they're the ones.
Bunch of pussies. But there's
self-important.
But you know what I mean?
Two creatives that I follow tweeted about the movie, and they said basically like it's joyless, like boring and joyless, and like if I would have thought that it would have like this dark sense of humor tinge to it since it's the Joker. And it's a King of Comedy.
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be really fucking melancholy and like real serious.
I think Brian was kind of right on that. I think it's more in the line of like if Henry, a Portrait of a Killer was a movie, but it's going to
create that entire thing. Like if you think these parts are funny, you should probably go and see a therapist. Those type of things where like maybe that incites some things in people, which everyone's scared of at some point. But at some point, again, like it's a movie. Like The Matrix had a part in a certain tragedy that happened a long time ago. Like all these movies have those type of things, so you can't just like pick and choose whether or not it's going to have a mental health awareness thing that might affect some people. Like it's one of those things. Like it could just be a movie, but also could incite some shit to happen.
It's video games causes violence argument.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they never expected.
Yeah, you can't mock one as stupid and then try to justify the other, and like that's where I had to land on it too. Like I do think it's a troubling portrayal of a type of person that's too prevalent right now.
Yeah.
And it does give, and the wrong type of person is going to gravitate to this because they already do. I can't sit back and be like, this is definitely going to cause a problem. So
I just don't think it needs to cause a then don't keep using the word skin it. Then don't skin it as a Joker movie. You know,
here's a question.
like it's just because it's a mass produced thing and it's a big IP. Like it's on track to make $80 million. Like that'll be big for that movie.
Do you think The Hunt was a more dangerous premise than this?
No, I don't think any of them are dangerous premises. You had the Purge movies coming out for several years.
Yeah, I didn't think The Hunt had more because you said that when we talked about The Hunt before, it had a Republican, liberal, it had a political tone.
Political.
Joker has
into it.
Some part of that, but it's not relevant today because it's supposed to be in the 80s. It's that weird and also Gotham's not a real city, so we like that weird thing. But I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, but Dark Knight Rises has all that
exactly.
the rich shit in it too. So you know.
Well, I have a question. Do you think that it's the pinnacle of Twitter, YouTube, right now, the Joker is the pinnacle of having the first article to have that overarching.
Oh yeah,
a hottest take contest.
Yes.
You mean?
Yeah.
There's definitely gonna be somebody that. But at the end of the day, like I think TJ said it. You can't predict how people are gonna react to it. When Friends was in the air, nobody knew that the effects that it would have in the end of obnoxious white people just grouping together in Europe. That you never know how art is going to reflect in society. So
Yeah.
Stupid.
Now, me and Brian go to the coffee shop every Wednesday with their wives and hang out.
Now, so
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we'll leave Batman's secondhand villain behind that hasn't been overdone all the time, and we're going to move on to the next two that have been done once a piece. And Jonah Hill.
This is the stupidest fucking story.
He's up for the.
It's not a story, really, isn't it? Just somebody talked to him about being in Batman.
It's Jonah Hill.
Got a text.
Is in negotiations to be in the Batman movie.
Yes.
And then headlines were they can't even decide what he wants to be. Oh, so you don't have a script for this movie that's been in development for 5 years?
Right. And not only that, this guy literally said, the report that came out that he's had the offer for at least a year, and he wants $10 million for the role, which is twice what Robert Pattinson's making for the star. And he has
Jonah
the
Hill's
choice.
a bigger star than Robert Pattinson, though.
He's not Jack Nicholson, if you're going to go Batman wise.
But this story has come out that it's going to be Harvey Dent, Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman,
he's Catwoman for sure.
It's 6 different villains.
Sounds like a fucking mess already.
And Jonah Hill has a choice between the Riddler and the Penguin. So, guys, what do you want Jonah Hill to be?
I bet it's gonna be a red herring, and he's gonna be a fucking newscaster in the left corner, and nobody's expected it. And somebody else is gonna be the Riddler, and somebody else is gonna be the Penguin, and he's just something to throw off the scent.
For $10 million?
He's the No, I think that's all bullshit. He's not gonna get $10 million. That budget is not that. They did a skim down budget.
No, they're gonna do the whole movie's only gonna be $60 million. I guarantee it. So there's no way they're gonna do it like Hellboy prices.
Yeah. So I would like to see him do the ventriloquist.
I would love.
Yeah, I'd like to see something we haven't seen.
I like that. Yeah. Scarface. That's a good one with the puppet. I like that.
I don't know.
Do you guys? Does that make Andy?
Well,
out?
No. There's a couple things that I heard. I heard a little bit like what TJ heard, but I heard a little more detail. So, possible spoilers for a movie that's not even made yet, in case I accidentally guessed the plot of it.
Not even cast it yet.
Well, yeah, I could accidentally guess the plot now, though. So
go for it.
They're gonna do Hush.
I've heard they're gonna work from maybe the Long Halloween a little bit.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Now they won't do the Two-Face origin because that's a main part of that story. They already did that too recently, and they probably won't have the Joker in it, although he only has a really small part in that anyway. But basically, the idea of that book is Batman's tracking a new killer.
Yeah.
And he's looking around, and he ends up, like, as he's going through tracking this new person, he just bumps into these other villains. So that's why I like the idea of them having multiple villains in the movie, but it's still being kind of slimmed down is doable. In that one, though, the killer he's tracking kills people on holidays, and then there's another guy who's playing like the kind of Hannibal Lecter part, and he's the Calendar Man. And I think Calendar Man would be a great part for Jonah Hill to play.
Oh yeah, that's actually super smart, man.
It's not like a physical villain, and they can like do a lot of interaction back and forth through the glass, like I said, Hannibal Lecter style, and there's like some fun he can have with that. So that would be what I'd like.
Calendar Man is like he's like pretty fucked up. So Jonah Hill can bring some manic.
Yeah, you can put him anywhere on the spectrum of evil because Calendar Man's also been a kind of a joke throwaway character at times too. So if you wanted to use Jonah Hill more comedically, you still could. Or you could keep him if you want to do the more dramatic, fucked up, dark stuff. I think he could do that too.
That's actually smart.
Guys, what was that shitty movie with Jonah Hill and James Franco where they just interviewed each other? Like it was like he was interviewing a killer through like the glass.
Oh yeah, it was called like The Interview or something.
It's like something like that. Like I think
I never saw that one. I remember it on Netflix, but I don't think I ever saw it.
No, it wasn't good. But anyway, it would be a solid line to follow that.
There was a report that came out not too long ago where James McAvoy, it came out yesterday, I think, from Variety, where James McAvoy is also up for both of those roles too. So it seems like James McAvoy and Jonah Hill are up.
I'd really love to see some villains that we haven't seen before. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't need another Penguin, Catwoman, Riddler.
Everything. I like the idea of them being throwaways. I'm gonna make them being like in the world instead of being a movie around it. I don't mind that they're doing the same villains as long as it's not like
if you just like
this is how they came up
into them, maybe.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a bold prediction. The Joker comes out, its reception financially and critically, she's not critically, massively, is going to affect the next set of reports of this Batman movie, regardless of how they say it's not connected at all. It will.
Yeah, I believe that.
The WB is so reactionary.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not connected in a sense that they're not tied together in the same world, but they're connected because of their financial decisions. Like, probably they're going to use the profits of Wonder Woman 1984 and Joker to fund future films. So, they are connected.
And to be fair, like, I still like the stuff I'm hearing about this Batman movie. I like the stuff about adapting on Halloween. I like the director. I like Pattinson. I'm fine with everything so far, so I'm trying.
It's been a while since I've been like excited for a comic book movie. Like
I like that.
Every now and again they announce one, I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll go see it, I guess. But like excitement. This one is like
this and Venom 2 are topping out you guys. Watch out.
Well, you're excited for like normally, these normal fucking blockbuster movies. How about some underrated space movies, Brian?
Ooh, man, that segue tight, man. Well, Ad Astra came out. It looks like another wannabe 2001. There's kind of like a big space movie every year, Gravity, Interstellar, The Martian, First Man, and there's like the one that but there's a lot of movies that take place in space that I think are pretty good or a little underrated or maybe just unknown. Maybe this deserved to be given a chance. So that's what I wanted to talk about. That was my initial thing there. What's a movie set in space in the last, recently, or I don't care. It can be from the past. I don't give a shit. Whenever. What do you like, guys? Who wants to start? I'll leave it up to you.
Ooh, me. Yeah.
TJ, do it.
2009, baby. I love this fucking movie. We'll get to this actor later in this episode, but 2009's Pandorum, Ben Foster, Dennis Quaid, Quam Guigaminette. If any woman, girl has ever seen Never Back Down, this guy has a shirt off the entire fucking movie. He's a stud. But this thing has
when he was younger.
Yeah, this thing has the classic sci-fi thing where it's like, all right, so Earth's dying. We're gonna put an entire species of everything we can on a ship and send it out into space and hopefully
an
find
ark, if you will.
Yes, they find a planet called Pandorum. This whole thing happens where the captains have this hyper sleep thing where you get into these cycles of like 13 years or 23 years. I forget what it is. It's got this whole it thing where every 27 years a creature comes out. But basically, it's actually super smart. If no one's ever seen this movie, I beg you to go back.
I definitely saw it. I don't remember it very well, but I definitely saw it.
I remember the poster.
Never heard of it.
Like the hand and
the arm with
the
shit going through it. Yep.
So basically,
the Giger, they got the Giger imagery going on.
Yes, some humans can't do hypersleep, and they wake up, and because of the steroids you get during hypersleep in the space station, make your body evolve in some way. So basically, these humans evolve with a ship because the steroids are giving hypersleep and they can't sleep. They've evolved into like these mutants. So Ben Foster wakes up as a
spoilers.
Ship assistant. Dennis Quaid is a ship captain at some point on the bridge. They both wake up. They have to go through and put the ship through this entire thing. Regardless, this entire thing, it gets into this one of my favorite climactic moments in film. And I'm not going to spoil it because I want everyone to go back and watch it. But it's one of those things where you're like, you lost us in space, but you didn't type of things because it's incredible. But there's cannibalism. There's lots of gore. There's incredible moments of drama. There's a love story. Hey, guys, you can't get wrong with space movies like that. So Pandorum. Anyone who hasn't seen that, go ahead and watch it.
I feel like I have to give it like a fair shot because like the only time I tried to watch it was like 12 a.m. And like I fell asleep.
But also that's kind of the time you want to watch it, but you want to be able to have 2 hours left in your body and like 5 to 6 drinks in you. If you're going to do it.
These are the requirements to watching this movie?
Well,
wow, I've never watched this movie yet.
Ben Foster, Dennis Quaid. You can't really go wrong. So, man. What do you got, Yusef?
Ben Foster's a shit. So these questions are hard for me because what the fuck is underrated? Like in terms of like, did it make money or it's not talked enough or the critics killed
It's hard in our little circles too because we're insulated. So a movie that seems popular to us, to like amongst the people you talk to on quote unquote film Twitter, is like hard to be like,
like Space Cowboys.
Film Twitter can suck my dick. So, but I went so far back for this one, all the way to 2018, and I picked First Man. I feel like First Man got a bad shake because it got wrapped up in a fake controversy for some fucking reason. That the United States flag,
it didn't have enough American flags in it or something.
The flag is not going to be there,
I
and
think
people boycotting and bullshit like that.
Yeah, the controversy was like Damien Chazelle was asked a question and he gave somewhat of a political answer, so it just snowballed into something that wasn't in the.
It was about mankind because, like, the literal quote from Armstrong was "Giant leap for mankind." He's like, "It's not about U.S., it's about mankind." Yeah. But obviously, the fucking U.S. flag is everywhere, so it is a U.S. achievement as well.
They were like making fake stories up of like the patches were removed.
It's just there's no there. But that movie, if you watch it, it's not a glory. What I love about it, one, is like very grueling in a sense that it doesn't. It's not a fantasy in terms of like you watch it and you say to yourself, "I don't want to be a space astronaut." Period. Like, it just looks so fucked
hard.
Up. Yeah, it's not like it's not movie version of it, and also it doesn't glorify Armstrong to the point that he almost comes across as an asshole. Like a lot of accounts where like he was a distant asshole. He was a genius. He was one of a kind, like they all say. But he came across as an asshole. So you're put in a position where you're rooting for him because obviously you know the end, he makes it. But you see him go through all these steps, and you see his family suffer, and his friends die around him. But he's so isolated from it because he has this wall emotionally, and you're like, okay, cool. I like this because it's not a fluff piece. It's not like look at our hero. He's the greatest thing in the world, and it felt like a real recreation of what actually happened, like
I have
all
a
the
question.
trials and errors, and all the blood and pain, and it looked and the sorry, TJ, let's finish my thought. And all the visual effects is amazing. They use a lot of practical effects, and they mix it with the CGI, and the sound design is fucking badass. There's a sequence in the film that it drove me crazy because the spaceship is turning, and you hear the woof, 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 and the screen is just going mad, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And you're like, it felt like you were in the actual cockpit turning around in space. All right, go ahead.
That would
did he play jazz?
He actually goes to the piano one, and I was like, what if he played
I've seen Gravity. I don't think it's a good movie, but like that movie at some points made me feel fucking insane. So that I never saw this movie. So
it's good.
My question to you
it's
is
on HBO right now.
Does Buzz Aldrin punch anybody in the face?
No, they don't
Hell
go to
yeah.
the future. They don't go to the future where the conspiracy theories are harassing a 75-year-old
motherfucker.
Buzz is the man.
But I also hear this movie has probably some of the best cinematography and also like use of a soundstage ever. So
I personally think a really underrated space movie is a Rocket Man starring Harlan Williams.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Does he actually go to space in that, or is it just
the Disney classic? He farts into the thing that breathes.
He gets big and has a foot on space off of his fart.
Yeah, I've only watched it once. I believe I was 6 or 7.
He's such a specific type of comedy.
So good.
We rented it from Blockbuster. I remember finding it funny. The trailer was everywhere.
I mean, all I can see is just the cover with him in the big blown up suit, all like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I remember. I remember the movie starts off with him as a little kid, and he goes in the wash the dryer to pretend to be an astronaut for training. Yeah, maybe I'll watch Rocket Man tonight, and
that's a good flyover.
So, that might be a terrible or good flyover. We'll back pocket that one.
Yeah, but please do.
No, there's other
vote on the link below if you want to see Rocket Man.
Legit pick. I really won't get into any details because my brain's broken right now. But Gattaca is a great movie, and I think that's extremely good. Very it's like Logan's Run vibe to it. I just love the concept. I'm sure there's a lot of like political things in it now that I'd more relate to while watching it. I haven't seen it since high school, so I don't want to waste any airtime with just rambling.
That's fine.
And that's Brian's favorite actor, Ethan Hawke.
Oh yeah, we all love Ethan Hawke. Everybody loves. Let's talk about an actor I actually do like.
I was going to
say Sam Rockwell. In a little movie called Moon.
Yes.
I mean, that's got to be.
I left it there because I talked about Moon in 3 episodes now. I was like, I should
right.
Yes.
And that's and I'm much like you, Seth. Like, there's plenty of ones that I think, I personally don't consider Blade Runner 2049 underrated because everybody who I've talked to who's seen it loves it and thinks it's really amazing. Just not very many people have seen it. So I guess it's still underrated. One that I just love the production and the world building on is Valerian, even though it's not a good movie. I'm not trying to be this is a good movie.
I just saw that last night, and you know what? I get everyone's fucking thinking about. It's visually fucking stunning.
Right. It's amazing looking. The production, the design, all the aliens. I like the thing with the weird interdimensional market. That's a cool set piece. Something I had never seen before. The opening's really amazing. There's just a lot of good stuff. It's worth watching at least one time. Sexier aliens than Avatar, even.
Yeah.
So
much sexier.
Valerian is just miscast. That's all it is.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Literally, if you put Bruce Willis and Mia Jovovich and just made it a flat-out sequel to fucking Fifth Element, it would be a hit. It would have been a huge smash.
Also, Bruce Willis now.
Yeah.
Terrible. I don't think Cara Delevingne was that bad. I think Dane DeHaan was.
Oh,
Dane
yes.
DeHaan is the
He was
worst
fine.
part of that.
Yeah.
She's better in this than she is in anything else I've ever seen her in.
Anything else.
Straight, she's good.
Okay,
And
so
Dane DeHaan isn't terrible. He's just wrong for the part. The part is like this
he's not a
hardened
badass.
soldier who's supposed to have been in the military for like 20 years, and Dane
You know
DeHaan
who-
does
you know
not
who
seem
he
like that.
wanted to be? He wanted to be Leo in fucking Romeo and Juliet with that whole like button-down Hawaiian shirt, half buttoned up. Like
That's about
what
right.
about
literally
for
what he
that?
looked like.
If we're to recast, what about like Aaron Paul?
Yeah, Aaron Paul would have been good. Some square jawed lad.
You want to watch El Camino?
You know what's I don't want to give anyone credit for this. I think they've failed too many times. The opposite side of Valerian is Jupiter Ascending, where it is just shit and bloated and full of these half-baked ideas. And I'm sorry, the Wachowskis are fucking done and washed up.
Now, here's the thing.
Damn, listen to this guy. Now, I can't say that because I like Cloud Atlas. I think Cloud Atlas was a tight movie, so...
Would you make out of these movies, would you make a cult out of it? Yusef, what do you got?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I would make a cult movie, a cult based around this. So I will not indirectly say that fandoms have taken a weird turn the past couple of decades and has veered towards cult status. I will say directly, though, that fandoms are acting as if they're part of a fucking cult. And either you're with them or you're against them. And if you're against them, they'll fucking burn you to the ground. So with that said, I wanted to ask my boys, my baby boys, my sweet little baby boys, if you were a cult leader and you wanted to use a movie as your base for your cult, what movie would it be, and what are your two main requirements to join that cult? Tell me all about it, TJ.
Oh, you always gotta start with me. I'm gonna pick a movie. I'm gonna pick a thing like that. Also, it's not a big thing right now. Brian will love this. But also, it this doesn't sound awful, but it renders more to little kids and their imagination. You know what I mean? So, I'm picking Little Monsters.
You've been pushing Little Monsters.
So, literally what I'm saying is...
33 episodes.
Yeah, 33 episodes. We still don't watch this movie, and I'm not
I'm not gonna fucking watch it. If you fucking assign it, I'm gonna get Harrison to come on here and give a synopsis instead. I'm gonna make you listen to him talk about it. That'll be your punishment.
But I mean, the whole thing about cults is believing in something, right, guys? Am I right across the board? You believe in something. And at this point in time, you believe in monsters under your bed. Whether you're 15, 9, 32, you know what I mean? You believe in monsters under your bed. So maybe at that time of night, between dusk and dawn, you're able to get underneath your bed and get into that magical realm. I'm telling you, this is a cult built for the masses, guys.
Can't you at least do the Monsters Inc. then? Like, it's
well, there's nothing. No, because
better.
Monsters
closets
Inc.
are way
came
scarier.
after.
Yeah, closets are way scarier than under the bed. So, guys, all I'm asking is that we all believe. There's minimum requirements for this cult. There's no maliciousness to it. There's nothing bad. You just believe in breaking things and kind of playing pranks on people. You know what I mean? It's a fun thing. It's a little bit.
How many things do we have to break?
What was
How many
that?
things do we have to break if you join?
Well, you can play the game where you're playing baseball, and if you break a diamond thing, it's a home run. If you break something that's like in the fridge or something, it's a single.
TJ just pitched fucking Logan Paul the Colt.
That's
Oh man, prank,
Joe.
Prank, bro.
Prank,
Sorry,
bro.
I broke your TV.
No, Howie Mandel would never team up with Logan Paul.
Sure.
Well, he might. But he wouldn't shake his hand. He would never shake his hand.
Hold up. Yeah.
But Little Monsters is my call. Joe, what do you got?
Oh, jeez. Well, I really think eventually people are going to realize, man, we really missed out on really idolizing Stub and the Weasel, and it's clearly Biodome the cult. I think Biodome. I think there are clear.
That's that Greta Thunberg. That's what her whole deal is. She got her whole thing from Biodome.
Yeah,
the climate change icons. Those guys.
There's clear rules. We're gonna build a compound, and in that compound, we're gonna have to start homeostasis off at 10%, and then build it back up to 100. And
do we get Kylie Minogue? Does Kylie Minogue come with that?
If you can get her, sure. If not, you have to wear those jumpsuits they wore.
Isn't
do it?
What's her name from Mallrats and Dazed and Confused? Joy Lauren Adams. She in that too? She's one of the girlfriends.
She's Pauly Shore's outside girlfriend.
Who'd have thought you could go down from dating Kevin Smith?
I'm pretty sure the other one is Adam Sandler's wife, right? Or is that, am I wrong?
Oh, you're not wrong. Yeah. No, she's one of the scientists, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Anyway, she's the other hot chick next to Kylie Minogue. I don't remember who the other girlfriend was. Anyway.
I'm pumped for Adam Sandler's movie this year, though.
Anyway,
that A24 one, the Uncut Gems.
Really
I'm with it.
It looks pretty dope.
100%. It looks good. It does look good.
In it.
Kevin Garnett.
I can't believe they have Mike Francesa in a movie.
We'll talk about athletes in film later.
Anyway, so Biodome the cult, clear rules. I think you gather a lot of people, and of course, there's going to be several. The Weasel Party! Like Midnight Strikes, you gotta pray to the Weasel. And so I just think it's gonna be a good time. And if you hit homeostasis, you kill yourself and you go to heaven.
Do you have like a code line to get into the cult? Like there's a main line you walk into and you're like, hey, what's the code word? What's your line?
Yeah. It's Sticky Purple Punch, buddy. Jeez, you have to watch a lot of Biodome.
That's so good. Also, there's what's his face? Unfortunately, from Nothing But Trouble. If you guys haven't seen the thing that we put out yet, that hasn't been put out yet from our watch.
No, just tell people that it's up, and then have them searching for it. They'll be like, "Where is this?"
The behind the
I went back through your whole feed to try to find this thing.
Where he plays delivery driver.
Yeah.
Yep. Genius.
So
TJ just put up the behind the scenes pics for Meetup and some highlights from our watch.
By the way, speaking of Biodome, because I'm sure I'll never get picked on here, there's a great subplot of a murderous clown on the TV.
Oh yes.
That's following the whole movie, and then he gets shot at the end, and it's so just like randomly in the movie, and it's fucking great. Anyway, what's your pick, Brian?
Oh, well, at first I misread or misunderstood the question. I thought it was a movie that we wanted to become a cult classic, like in the future.
You're so
and dumb. my pick was going to be the Brother Solomon, and I wanted to become like the Dumb and Dumber of like Gen Z.
Nice. Yes.
That movie.
You know what I mean? I wanted them to like revere it the way our generation loves Dumb and Dumber, even though I'm not a fan, but I get a lot of people love it. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just saying I would have bet. But anyway, that wasn't the question. So, but because I was thinking about that, I didn't have an answer. But then I thought, I don't have to come up with an answer because there's a pre-existing cult ready to go. And I just have to mobilize them. And that is the Release the Snyder Cut people. That's going to be my cult. It's got the number one. It's got the number one requirement of any good religion, and that is that there is they can believe the lack of proof makes proof for them. The fact that they don't get the Snyder Cut is how they know it exists, and that meets the requirement for any religion. And boom, you're in. Like so.
I mean, if that is the cult, I will be a fan of the early testament of Dawn of the Dead and
300. I'm even a Watchmen guy. I think his Watchmen is pretty decent.
And Man of Steel. Give Man of Steel some love. Man of Steel
by comparison to the rest of what DC has put out after Man of Steel, yes, Man of Steel seems better.
I like
now.
So
now you triggered me to be mean. Fuck
all of you that did the Just League fucking Snyder cut, the fucking extended cut of Batman vs. Just shut the fuck up. All right, this guy, let him move on. He's doing a zombie movie now. And you know what? Dawn of the Dead was great. So let him do the zombie movie. This asshole does not deserve to have a DC fucking cut of whatever he did. He backed out. He did his thing. Joss Whedon.
There were some other reasons. There were some reasons why he left.
Yeah, but
TJ.
Yeah, but still.
But I'll say this: it does not fucking help that you have other Justice League members also hashtagging it, knowing they're just like trolling that base.
Yeah, that's
also really buys into your cult picking, and I love that pick for the cult. Because it's like Scientology. It'll be like Scientology.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we already know that the hook is in. Like, the work is done.
Yeah.
He's got to mobilize them now.
Do you know L. Ron Hubbard is the #1 has the most fiction books ever written?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
How weird is that?
He was a failed fiction writer, and then he became.
I wouldn't say he failed. One of his pieces of fiction really took off.
That's true. So another, I'm going to jump in and give my pick. Another aspect.
Well, you're the last one. It's your question, and now it's
another aspect that I like about fandom is that they gravitate towards movies that they completely miss the point, like Fight Club or Scarface or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where it's actually about fraud insurance. So I picked Showgirls.
Sorry.
So, wait, what was the pick? I was laughing too hard.
Two Broke Girls is your cult?
Showgirls.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm picking Showgirls because, while over her Guggen, likes to say, what? Go ahead.
I'll say this lead actress actually plays a part in the movie we'll talk about later. But this fucking movie...
And she's a better showgirl in the movie we see later.
Yes. And also, Saved by the Bell made me come to terms with my manship when I was a kid. And then Showgirls did the same thing with me with the same Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Liz
you jerked out to the movie, we know. But
yes.
Yeah, that movie changed me as well. I just remember her going like, "I'm a man." Wait, what did she say when she was like on pills? And
I can't something. I just remember her thrashing.
Yeah, and then she trashed in the pool. So while people like the writer-director likes to say that the film is meant to like as a mockery of entertainment industry and morals and blah blah blah, and that's why it's all over the top. Our cult is not going to read into that. We're going to believe in Showgirls, and one of our requirements is we have to eat dog chow and love it because that's what they do in the movie, and we have to learn how to have sex in the pool, dolphin sex, through our belly button.
So
those are the two main requirements for our cult, and we're gonna be strippers and just gonna take over the fucking world.
I have a question about your cult.
You don't like it?
Do you pick a superior than you that you need to dethrone?
They're gonna try to dethrone me. I'm always gonna be
like so you're a Gina Gershon.
Yeah. Who is our Gina?
And I'm on the lookout for my Kelly.
Okay.
For my Gina? What's her name in the movie? Gina?
I don't fucking remember.
Gina. Put a little rouge on it.
I'll tell you who the hottest one there was. Gina.
I feel like I'm very nostalgic about her and Saved by the Bell, but I don't know what people in the future are gonna be nostalgic about. Do you know, Joe, what are people going to be nostalgic about?
Oh man, we're just becoming so nostalgic about everything these days, and we were wondering what what do you think people are going to be nostalgic about, like 20, 30 years from now, movie-wise? Let's give a released since like 2010-ish or so. Like, what is something people are going to find real nostalgic over?
I'm going to push you back to 2006. Just fair warning.
Yeah, that's fine. That's still, don't pick someone from like 2001.
Early 2000s.
People are nostalgic of Stealth.
Oh, Jessica.
Anyway, Brian, what are you? Or no, I'm sorry, Yusuf. Let's start with you. What are you nostalgic of?
So in the year 2030, everything's going to be CGI or VR and another acronym. And even in the grocery stores, everything's going to be CGI. Everything's going to be CGI. And people are going to be nostalgic, jonesing for practical effects. And there's like one guy known for his use of practical effects, his creative creature designs, his prosthetic work, and his unique world building. And that is Guillermo del Toro. And we're going to be nostalgic for Pan's Labyrinth, or its correct title, El Laberinto del Fauno. That movie's practical effects are just amazing. Even the smallest detail from the cut of the bad guy's face, it looks so fucking badass because it's part practical effect and then a little bit of CGI in the middle, so you can see his tongue. To the creature design of the actual labyrinth, and the set design. I mean, like the labyrinth, how it looks, and then the fauno in the middle, how he starts to like become more powerful, and his dust just falls away. Like there's a lot of attention to detail, and nothing is CGI. It's all Duck Jones doing his best. So I feel like we're gonna be nostalgic for the days. Like I'm currently nostalgic. I don't know what movie I was watching one of these days, and they had like crazy blood squibs. Oh, I was watching Thief, Michael Mann's Thief, and they had a few scenes where there was a crazy amount of blood squibs, and it was just like even chunks of skin flew off his shirt. Yeah, I was like, oh, I miss that so much. So I feel like in the future we're gonna be so CGI heavy that we're gonna miss like directors like
the last Squibs movie you have is like Turbo Man for like Netflix, like where you have like actual like blood and violence like that. Like that's a smart pick for you. Yeah.
Fellow, how about you, TJ? Smart? No, Brian. Are you smart? Brian, are you smart?
I am smart. Me am smart. Is it my turn?
Yes, it is your turn.
Am I going?
You're not that smart. You're not that smart.
I was thinking about like what makes something what makes people nostalgic for things and whatever. And I think sometimes the movies that most people get nostalgic for are stuff that like didn't get a lot of play in the theaters, but then maybe came to cable and stuff and like got found like secondhand, or your friend introduced you to it. And I think some movies that have been like horribly overlooked in theaters, and it's only getting worse, and we probably won't even get another movie from this studio, are the Leica stop motion animation movies.
Oh yeah.
So I would love if people got like super nostalgic for Paranorman and Kubo and
I love Paranorman.
Even Missing Link. I think I'm the only person I know who saw Missing Link, and it was great. Like, so that would be my pick. It would be great if in the future people, we're looking back on those, like, The Goonies for me, like a movie that you just saw all the time as a kid because it was either on video or on cable. And
could you imagine though if they did The Goonies in like a stop motion type? So how it took 18 years to do Nightmare Before Christmas, right? And then you got Leica doing fucking
years.
Kubo and the one that you just saw.
They do
Missing Link.
So
sure.
They do a CGI mix between. So that's why they can like pump them out quickly.
And they do the models are the stop motion models are 3D printed now, so you have to interchange faces that are a lot faster to change and stuff.
Would you rather have a Goonies remake, live action with kids, new these days, like Cat and Mountain Zorro is fucking playing it, and fucking what's her face from?
No, I think it would be amazing if Leica did a fucking remake of the Goonies. That would be incredible. I think they would do an amazing job. Paranorman is probably one of my favorite kids movies that's come out since my son's life. Like, it's so fucking good.
I agree with Brian. They did a fucking stop action Goonies remake. It makes 100 more sense. Even a sequel, if you're gonna do it that way. It makes so much more sense than doing a live action.
That's actually a really fun idea. That will never happen, but it would be great, and it's a way that you could make it that would be unoffensive to fans of the original.
They can be model after the original actors,
and I feel like that feels like 100 times more 80s than anything you'll get to where you have to manufacture the 80s look. Like,
I don't know, dude. I just watched the new It movie. They're pretty good at manufacturing the 80s.
Yeah.
I like Yusa's face. Yusa's face as me 100%.
Well, I guess what I meant by the new one was also Chapter 1 because I've watched that twice in the last week.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yes. Okay, yeah. I'll give you that one.
All right. Sure. So TJ, what are you going to be nostalgic for? Or not you, what do you think is going to be nostalgic?
You're not gonna be alive.
Guys, I had to go deep. I had to go real hard in this one. Like, who's gonna be the most nostalgic actor, actress? It's one and the same 8 years from now. Lindsay Lohan.
What?
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan.
What?
Freaky Friday.
Well, you think people are gonna be really nostalgic for
my generation? TJ, that's my generation. That's gonna be nostalgic. For them to be nostalgic now.
Yeah, Freaky Friday, Mean Girls.
Yeah, I guarantee Laura is nostalgic for Lindsay Lohan movies today.
Yeah.
This is high school from fucking 2006.
It's 2004 is Mean Girls.
Saying. I said 2006 since I left. Mean Girls didn't mean shit when I was in high school. But once I left, I was like, oh.
I'm skipping TJ. So I took this question. I took this question.
Help me out.
Yeah. We've all tricked off the Mean Girls, TJ. All right. I took this question more as what is essentially Brian's kids, son's age and shit like that, going to be nostalgic for?
Brian's kids, man. This is the third episode you said.
Okay, if Brian's kids' favorite movie is Mean Girls, thank TJ.
It's a good movie. I love Mean Girls. Anyway, so it's not your son because your son's smarter than this, but I have a feeling these little shits are going to be nostalgic for something like the Emoji Movie in 2030. And Angry Birds and these
Secret Life of Pets. Fuck you, Angry Birds is good. The Angry Birds movies are fucking good.
My point proven. So it's something with the movie being good. That's the type of shit I have a feeling these kids are going to be nostalgic for. Right now, we're getting a wave of it with my generation of Shrek stuff. Right? We're all Shrek this, Shrek that.
Saying. Jesus Christ.
What? It's just what people are nostalgic for. I'm sure there's someone that's from the group of the 80s, it's yo, He-Man fucking sucked and it's coming back. I'm not nostalgic for it, but masses are.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, they're making a remake.
Yeah, point being. Anyway, so we're all in agreement. We're going to jerk off to Mean Girls tonight.
Yes. Yeah, that's where we landed on that? Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Cool.
So
I would give any Sunday to do any of this stuff with you guys.
That's a segue.
So smooth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I picked my best movie for these guys to watch. It's
you have a very low bar.
End of September. We're getting into fucking fall. It's football season. It's the peak of baseball playoffs. It's the start of hockey. Basketball starts. Fuck basketball. Basically.
Fuck you, man.
Sorry. I made these guys watch Oliver Stone's Any Given Sunday.
Fuck you, man.
I will say, as the one guy out of everybody who's not the sports guy, this is the perfect movie. Even though it's 2.5 hours long, this is still the perfect movie for a non sports person because it literally encapsulates all of sports. Oliver Stone took every single thing you could ever know about sports and put it into one movie.
So jam.
I'm not saying he did it well, but he did it all right.
It's
so.
TJ, just you guys.
Basically, we got Any Given Sunday, 1999. We got Dennis Quaid, Al Pacino, Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, LL Cool J, Lawrence Taylor, James Brown, Bill Bellamy, Aaron Eckhart, James Wood, Elizabeth Berkley, Bill Bellamy. Again, there's so many
Matthew Modine. Don't put some respect on Matthew Modine's name.
This movie is literally they have
Joe Brown.
Yeah, they have everything
Both
to do with
did it wrong.
NFL.
It's Jim Brown. He called him James Brown, and you called him Joe Brown. It's Jim Brown, the greatest running back of all time.
Well, that's
and he
false.
Probably threw his girlfriend off a balcony.
This movie is literally about an NFL team that has nothing to do with the NFL, but they mention the NFL a lot. But there's no NFL teams.
No, the Dolphins exist. We know the Dolphins exist.
But we never play them.
The Sharks and the Dolphins both are in Miami, apparently.
Guys, this is what drove me fucking crazy about this movie. I really did like this movie, but the NFL was like completely against it. Totally makes sense.
Well, yeah, obviously they didn't want to be portrayed all shitty.
Of course. But instead of being like, hey, this is the substitute league, which clearly it's trying to do.
It should be arena football.
No. It is arena football, and that's going on. The NFL exists, the Dolphins exist, but all the big names, like your like historic names, have been part of what's it called, like the AAF or something like that.
AAF, yeah.
like what the that to me just made that was like Oliver Stone.
It made no sense that they exist in the same universe. Like, I'm fine with believing there's a different type of NFL or whatever.
Yeah, no.
And I'll tell you what, I liked all the different logos and production that went into all the different teams. I'm like, I'm into that. The Crusaders. Cool, that's a cool name. That shit's better than
I've ever seen in my fucking life.
The Crusaders are terrible.
Canadian football.
Okay, all right. But I like the, what was the one?
It's like
what was the one that had the pyramid eye as
like
their fucking?
Renaissance
Was that the Knights that had the eye, like the fucking the Masons, the Freemasons? Was that one of them?
The teams were like the creative players in like the '90s football games when they didn't have the rights to anything.
They all had equally generic names to the Sharks, though. Like they were all fittingly generic.
Yeah. The Sharks just had the best uniforms because at first it was like, is this about the Raiders?
Now
I realized.
No, it's about the bad guys from the Mighty Ducks 2.
Yeah, you get NFL stars from Jim Brown to Lawrence Taylor to Ricky Waters to Terrell Owens to
that dude with the big dick that you see that Cameron Diaz like almost shakes hands with.
That's Orlando Jones.
Fun fact. This is the most dicks we've discussed in Flyover Instead of Film. Like,
there's
this is
so many dicks
heavy.
in this movie.
Yeah, there was swinging dicks.
So let me give you a little background, guys. We're in week like 8. Yeah, we're in week 8. This team is fucking fighting for the playoffs. They lose their 38-year-old championship quarterback.
They lose Troy Aikman basically, and then it's Troy Aikman.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid, the champ, and then they have to put in the second string quarterback who's played by nobody. I'm pretty sure he's an actual NFL quarterback. I don't know who he is, but I think he is.
They give him a name like Chumpowski, like something that you know he's going to get. Cherub, yeah, he's like a baby.
Yeah. He gets hurt the very next play, and they put in Jamie Foxx. And from this point on...
Before you say that, the commentators have the best line of the entire movie when he gets hurt. It's like, one thing you can always say about Tyler, he has always been boring. Like, he got hurt. He blew out his knee, and the dude's like kicking him on the ground. He's like, yeah, that's a boring asshole that's walking out in a stretcher.
And they put in number 13, Mr. Steeman Willie Beeman, who didn't get his nickname yet, but Jamie Foxx is a third-string quarterback, which most teams wouldn't have a third-string quarterback even on the roster. You have a fucking wide receiver who can maybe play quarterback at that point, if you're going to do that today. But you got Jamie Foxx. He goes in. He does awful. But then they also give him the stats. He throws 9 for 14 for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns and an interception. That's all you need.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he has like a good game loss. He wins one game. Yep. He has a bye week, and literally the entire I just don't understand why he couldn't have why didn't Oliver Stone just make this movie over the course of a season? Why does it? Why is it 4 fucking games?
Because he needs to get full games out of you have 30 minutes per game.
But I have such a nitpick about this. We'll get into later about sports films that we'll talk about later. With where they put their time capsules into, what they do things in. It's we're gonna do things at the end of the playoffs, but never get to the Super Bowl or never get to the championship, or just we're gonna.
Yeah, the climax of this movie is a chance to play at the AFC basically a championship game. It's not even the Super Bowl. It's to get. It's the second round of the playoffs or some shit. Yeah. It's nothing.
Do you have these entire? Did Oliver Stone write this movie?
No.
No, you have Richard Donner was a producer.
It's adapted from a book, but I'm pretty sure he had a lot to do with it.
Because whoever wrote this movie has a great claim to sue Marvel because the shark's motto is whatever it takes.
Oh, shit.
Shit. Did not notice that.
Oh, I did. They said it 20 times.
The whole background of this film is coordinator versus head coach, backup quarterback versus first quarterback,
new quarterback versus
the trainer
old
versus
coach.
Trainer, James Woods versus Matt Modine,
young owner versus old coach.
Yeah. El Cool versus Jamie Foxx.
Well, the mercenary guy, the high paid versus the company man, the guy who's who's a franchise player.
That was the most surprising thing.
Big black dicks versus average white dicks.
This was the most surprising thing to me was the dicks in the movie. Was the wide receiver battle? Your LL Cool J, being not getting the ball, your son, and not having essentially a Jamie Foxx young and upcoming actor who was somewhat popular at the time play the wide receiver getting the attention.
Phil Bellamy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He got a very minimal role, and also if you're a running quarterback in the NFL, your favorite target is the tight end, and that was played by Terrell Owens, which is the weirdest part to me. This entire fucking film is Terrell Owens plays the fucking tight end.
It's not weird.
Deep
it's
cut
not weird because
thing. Me too.
It's not weird because he's surrounded by actors, so he looks fucking huge.
Oh,
so he does look like a tight end.
Anyone listening, the day it's released, I'm gonna post an article about the behind the scenes that from a count 10 years later or so that was written by Complex. There's some funny ass shit in there, especially the fact that
next to TJ's link to the
especially that P. Diddy was originally cast as the quarterback in Jamie Foxx's role, he threw a football according to the camera guy, he threw a football a girl, so he was kicked off set, and then years later P. Diddy was nah, scheduling, we pushed the film up, I had a tour.
Jamie Foxx did not do much better of a job. My favorite tweet is from Brian on this. Is this is probably most likely Cameron Diaz's best fucking role.
Absolutely. By the end of the movie I was convinced.
Her composure when she walks through that room,
it just does not look
the biggest dick in the room comes towards her and pulls out her hand, and she goes good game. I was Oscar.
Nah, she almost. No, in that moment, she almost grabbed his dick.
She did not look down. Oscar. That's an Oscar performance.
No, I feel she was good in this movie.
Everything with the drunk mom was great with her.
Oh, she was so funny.
And Margaret, that's
so fucking good.
Beach blanket bingos and Margaret, right?
Now, how many times did Al Pacino pork her?
I'll tell you what. This is peak. This is really peak Pacino. I love the fucking climax of this movie. They're there's all these riffs between Jamie Foxx and the rest of the team, and then Al Pacino gives one locker room speech, and he's "Oh, sorry guys, my bad," and they're "It's cool, let's go win the game together." What the
That
fuck?
every inch speech is great.
Well, my favorite part is like Al Pacino. If you looked at him, looks nothing like an NFL player. He would never ever play one fucking down of football. But what they do is they do that whole thing where every time he's about to do a speech, they incorporate his fucking like background scenes of him like diving over the 1 yard line for the fucking touchdown, or like the cut of him having to cut over his nose and like
Was that supposed to be him? I never noticed that
Yeah,
was actually like,
all
there was actually
Steve
stuff of him
Pacino.
in
So
it.
like he has insight into the game because most players won't listen to a coach who has never played it down.
Like
So the
Aaron
whole,
Eckhart, who's just a man in the box, man.
but
I feel like-
nowadays it takes a guy who played a third down fucking quarterback, and you Zach Taylor, the guy from the fucking Rams.
Yeah,
I don't know his fucking
sports.
name.
But I feel like this
McVay.
movie is like legit went off the rails in terms of like editing and the things that
you
happen
think?
after the bye week. Like when they start filming the rap video, the movie just went like this batshit crazy.
You mean how he has a rap video and this dude has lost one game and won one game, and he has his fucking face on the side of the bus. So a deal that probably would take 6 months to make happen.
And an explosive like Sports Center interview.
He's on the cover of no less than how could he be on the cover of 5 and 6 magazines? Like, what are those weeklies? Are there a lot of weekly sports magazines out there?
Think about it this way. 2 years later, 2001, Michael Vick fucking broke out. Regardless of everything that happened in the background, like this movie, like put those type of players on the pedestal, man. Like this movie did it.
It's the timeline I can't get into. I'm like, just take the whole season, build him into somebody I could believe would have this kind of hype.
Now walk with me here, okay? It's about the same time. Is this just another telling of The Devil's Advocate? Because it's very similar to Pacino.
Ooh.
I mean, he's definitely, like I said, this is my peak Pacino.
I love him.
I feel like he's at his best when he's crazy like this.
He's just oohing and ahhing, fucking.
Yeah.
But that's my whole thing. Is like you never think Pacino's gonna. My whole going into this is Pacino is not a football guy.
He's not the devil. The devil wouldn't pay for a hooker.
I like the way they made all the opposing coaches look like famous football coaches.
Yeah.
Like they're all like lookalikes. And one is actually Dick Butkus. Who is the guy who's the one? I don't know. I don't remember.
No, he's a tight end for the Bears back in the day.
Yeah, you know the guy I'm talking about.
No, Brian, they did have like one of the famous coaches be in the movie. I'm blanking, but you're right.
Well, even the ones they got a lot of like weird.
Oh, they got Jim Thorpe
stuff.
They got,
that were like
not Jim Thorpe.
They
got Johnny Unitas. Johnny Unitas was one of the coaches in the movie, and they referenced him too.
Right on.
I have a working theory that James Woods is not a real doctor.
You got the most interesting story.
You mean how this movie has like a pro CTE bias?
Oh, dude.
Lawrence Taylor almost dies at the end, and he's carried off in a stretcher to hero music. It's like
he made $1 million bonus.
He's got fucking brain damage for sure, and he's gonna kill himself and maybe his family, and in like 10 years.
Yeah, but he got a bonus, bro.
Yeah, this is before like any of those like draft deals, like where you have to get all of your contract bonuses to get it. Like I gotta have 1,500 yards. I gotta have fucking so many tackles, so many sacks, so many forced fumbles to get.
That's something that's great about this movie is they tried to give you as much insight and background and like behind the scenes shit and the shit about the bonuses and the stuff about there's a lot of stuff that wouldn't all be happening at the same time, but Oliver Stone literally, like I said, he tried to get anything you could possibly want to know about sports into this movie.
I wish there's a few things I'd really tweak, but I wish we actually could just tweak out Oliver Stone's role as the commentator of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Like I was going to say, take out his role as the director and maybe give it to somebody like Peter Berg.
It stops at full stop. I know this is like combining two. It makes the movie like halt to me every time he comes on screen. But combining another thing, like you place that role with I know this is like really cliche and stupid, but like Hank Azaria doing essentially his Brockmire, but for like football, that would be cool to see a guy like that.
I was gonna say, who's that guy? Obviously, I know who he is, but one of the best parts of this is he's playing a Jim Rome version of himself.
Oh, the Scrubs
John C. McGinley, right?
Yeah. With the
surviving the game's own John C. McGinley, right?
Yeah, so good.
I like that part.
Yeah, that's genius. He gets thrown down. He's like, oh, and then he does the whole like.
I love how he makes him the apology. He has to give the apology where he says he's like an important part of sports.
He always has like that unlit cigarette.
My favorite part about his scenes is when he's interviewing Jamie Foxx and he's trying to like talk down with him, where he's like, "My man, that's right, homie."
Yeah,
like it's like how some of those interviews actually go, where you're like, "Oh, it's so cringy."
So Yusef, I want you to take a 10-yard cut to the Buick. I want you to act like you're in the hood, baby. You know what I mean? You're in the hood. Your mama's calling you in for supper. You want to hit the Buick 10 yards in and cut back. You know what I mean? How do you feel about this movie? Give me a rating.
No, wait. I have one more complaint about this movie.
We're doing ratings? Because I have a thing about James Woods.
So I feel like we could say so much more about this movie, though.
The movie poster is atrocious. It's just as bad as all the cuts.
Is it?
Yeah, look at the movie poster.
It's got 6 heads on it.
I'm just gonna put it in our chat.
It's like a Marvel picture.
I thought I only remembered the poster actually. But wait, while he's doing that, the scene where James Woods gets fired and he's like, "Come on, baby," or whatever.
Courtney.
And the girl was like, "Nah." He's like, "Oh, fuck it, go get fucked with 12 Neanderthals."
Like literally,
I bet he wanted to say the other N-word. He wanted to say the other N-word.
Yo, he wanted to drop a
really
hard
wanted
R.
to say the N-word. He's like,
I do love that. Not only like. This movie has so much in it, and like it tries to play out like every relationship and every different thing. It not only has James Woods' arc as like the corrupt doctor who gets ousted, it even goes so far as to show us that the new doctor, Matthew Modine, is already being corrupted. He gives the extra cortisone shot to Lawrence Taylor. And then he's flirting with the girl at the end and laughing and talking. So it's like, as soon as James Woods is gone, he is instantly like getting folded into the like. You know,
I do kind of like the fuckery of the ending too.
Well, it's also like one of those things. I say, all these sports films end at some point, but none of these sports films end at like the high point. You don't win the championship; you win the first round.
Yeah.
What's the point at that point? You're just like,
I love the ending of this movie though. The Al Pacino's press conference is the best part. Like that's the to me that's better than them getting the touchdown and winning the game. Is his like slam and the look on Cameron Diaz's face when he announces that he's taking Jamie Foxx to his new team and shit, and her whole I love it because she's like her arc is like go from. You know, I'm a rich kid and I know football, but I'm also business. I grew up in this, so I know it. To like, oh, I appreciate the game now, and I have learned from old white men. By the way, this movie, it should be said, movie does not treat women characters very good across the board. Not great. Good performance by Cameron Diaz, but her character not treated so great as a way like the arc and everything.
But does the NFL do the people the players?
In fact, I would say this movie. At least didn't cover up her murder or beating, so yeah, I guess it's not as bad as the NFL.
Yeah. You know, actually that article I says it's like, wow, all those things that came out years later, everything looks tame now. Oh my god, one thing we did not mention in this movie is the fucking eyeball on the field that clearly would have halted the game.
That would never happen. Ever. In any game whatsoever.
They have helmets on.
I watched them like, wait a minute, that would not...
Someone just...
Yeah, pull the guys
all the way out. It wasn't like dangling on dude's face. It was disconnected.
It was on the fucking field.
Just And then in that same game, that's when Shark almost dies. That would be like, that would cancel football probably, that game.
In that article you were talking about, they're like, oh, Oliver Stone wanted to get the hardest hits. He wanted this to be like the Saving Private Ryan of football movies. He wanted to get the most brutal shit. And they're talking about how in the opening scene, they almost blew out the ACL of fucking Dennis Quaid's stunt double. They hit him so fucking hard. Like, take it easy. It's a goddamn movie. Haven't you ever seen a boxing movie?
No,
they're edited. Like...
Well, according to this, they filmed, played football.
Every single game in this movie ends with a diving over the top into the end zone. That's like how it's the only way you can score the final touchdown of a game in this one.
I mean, you gotta give Lawrence Taylor. Okay, this movie has tons of pro athletes in it. A lot. James Brown, Jim Brown.
Ooh, Andrew Bernarski, not a pro athlete, but icon Latimer from the program.
Thank you.
Fucking also in the Good Chainsaw, he played Leatherface in the Good Chainsaw remake from 2003.
Yeah. It's like one of those things, like, you gotta give LT a lot of fucking credit for playing an actual, like, strong role.
Oh, LT probably played a guy he knew.
Yeah, LT was good in this. He was. I love when he cuts Jamie Foxx's car in half.
And even before that, or after that, before the whole scene where he begs the doctor to give him the cortisone to have Modine like go over to James Woodside, is they're in the office and he's like, I need fucking 2 more tackles, 1 more sack for a loss to get my bonus. I have 4 kids. Those type of scenes is fucking something you want out of an athlete who's gonna. You think LeBron James is going to do that in Space Jam 2?
No, because that movie's never happening.
Jesus.
Guys, we better get on to our final segment here.
We still have one more thing
before Joe dies. Joe's not going to make it.
I'm sorry.
I give it 6 swinging dicks out of 10.
6 big old swinging dicks.
Yep.
And it got a weird curve to the left.
6.
Well, it's too big, it curves.
It's also not. It's uncircumcised. I'm pretty sure it's got a hood. Brian, what do you got?
That's racist.
Yeah, like I really do think that Oliver Stone over directing this movie hurts it. Yeah. Like the editing, this would be a much better movie directed just like as a straightforward fucking like hard nosed football movie by like a really solid just like workman director. Like I think I threw out Peter Berg earlier. Somebody who just knows how to shoot action, shoot someone else's script. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But it's got an amazing cast. It really is. Like there's a lot in it. It's really packed, but it's good. Like the interactions are good. All the different like character beats and stuff are good. So yeah, I probably landed about a 6.5. I think. Yeah. I think I could get there.
I think I want to just say what Brian
swinging dicks. That's quick. Big swinging dicks.
I think it's gonna be. I think this movie would be a cool like if it was remade with I don't know. Like you said, Peter Berg would be good, and then it'd be so fucking eye rolly, but it'd be probably great if like you had McConaughey be the Pacino role.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Just so he could deliver those speeches. Anyway,
We Are Marshall kind of feel,
Yeah, I forget he kind of did that. Or anyway, I give this 7.1 eyeballs.
Nice,
Yusuf.
He's thinking, or he doesn't hear us.
What?
He muted us while we were talking. He didn't want to hear our ratings. Son of a bitch.
No, my fucking. This is a new laptop. I'm figuring it out. What?
What's your rating for this movie?
I already said 6 swinging dicks. Who's fucking not paying attention here?
What's your rating?
I'm gonna give this one a clean 8.3 swinging dicks. That's 8 inches, 0.3. And
since everybody did swinging dicks, I'll change mine. I did 6.5. I'll do alligators in the shower. 6.5 alligators in the shower.
All right,
there were dicks in that scene too.
Cameron Diaz came in, didn't look at my dick, and she walked away. Brian,
straight.
Wait, before we do a Brian's pick for next week, Joe, you have this whole hat thing going for Halloween. Talk about it.
Joe's going to be the host for our Halloween episode, guys.
So last year, yes, for I'd say the episode that really started Flyover off and solidified us is the Halloween episode. And this year, instead of picking a franchise on our own, since I'm the host of that episode, which would be the end of next month, I'm picking a franchise for each of the boys here.
Baby boy.
Who's first?
And myself. And just to give you a show, we have in a hat picks and the number of movies. Stipulations, if I pick one and you do not like that franchise, you can veto it and I will pick another one. But that's it. After that, that is
mulligan.
Yes,
like
you get a
another
mulligan.
show you might have seen.
And besides that, and then so you have the whole month to watch your franchise. So let me start with Yusuf. I'm just gonna go around the screen. All right, I'm closing my eyes. I'm closing my eyes so there's no bias. I pulled. All right, what is it? Yusuf, you get Sleepaway Camp. 5 movies.
Damn,
five movies in
There's
Sleepaway
5
Camp.
Sleepaway Camps?
Can I get a mulligan?
Okay, sure. You want to use your mulligan?
Yeah, I'm going to use it because that's going to be fucking hard to get 5 sleepaways.
All right, sure.
I only thought there were like 3.5 finished 4th one. I didn't know.
There's 4. Wikipedia said 5, but I could be
there might be a newer one, like one that came out in the last 10 years or something.
Okay. So, Sleepaway Camp we be put in after this mulligan, back into the hat.
So it's still on the table. Gotcha.
All right, you get The Exorcist. 5 Exorcist.
Nice.
That's
Damn,
all 5.
that takes that off the table. I was hoping to grab that one too.
Same. That's all 5. All right, Brian, I'm going to hit you next. 1 and 2, closed eyes, hat up.
Does that include Devil Inside?
Brian, 5 scary movies. Scary movie franchise.
Oh. I'll put it on Front Street. I legitimately like the first 2 scary movies. I'm not gonna lie.
I like the first 3.
They get really. You know what? I'm gonna take my chances. There's a lot of good franchises in there. I'm gonna take another roll. Go ahead, give me my mulligan.
Oh,
Sleepaway Camp.
I would love it.
You would.
You get Ghoulies or Child's Play, I'll kill you.
Hellraiser.
Yeah.
8 movies.
Lucky for you guys, if you would follow me on Twitter, you know I'm 4 deep into this franchise already, so I'm gonna get to work.
Oh wow, that's bullshit. Okay, fine.
I still have 4 fucking movies to watch, and it's all the bad ones.
I know. Yeah. I feel like now you should watch the 2 new ones without the original Pinhead. We also removed remakes, but I think Brian should watch the 2 remakes they made.
I should have to watch the remakes without Doug Bradley. That's ruthless, man.
You should, but that's up to you. I'm putting Scary Movie back in, by the way. All right, TJ, you're up. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 4 movies.
I'll take it
Yeah,
off.
that's solid. I mean, you could have tuned it down.
All right, time for my pick.
All right.
Critters, 5 movies.
Nice.
Solid. There's a brand new one. You get a new one in that.
I know. Do I take a mulligan or I just...
If you take a fucking mulligan, I'll kill you. You want to trade?
I'll keep Critters.
All right.
All right.
All right, so our picks, guys. Yusuf with The Exorcist. TJ with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And Brian with Hellraiser franchise. And myself with Critters.
I fucking love it. That's a
pretty good lineup. I like the variety in here. I'm actually kind of excited.
And guys, just so there was a really ton of choices in this to pick from.
I'm also going to be watching Exorcist 2 and 3 myself to keep, so I'll be up on those too.
Oh, I'll be watching some of these hopefully as well through the month. But this is what we're going to come back. We're going to discuss it like last year's episode.
Yeah, if I could recommend, people will slam it. I would recommend Hellraiser and Hellraiser 4 Bloodlines. I know it's a little cheese ball, but it's got some good stuff in it. It's not perfect, but it's got some good stuff in it.
We're also planning
Brian's pick for next week. What are some of the ones we missed out on?
Okay, you missed out on, which I'm kind of bummed out, which I could still watch. You missed out on the Friday the 13th franchise.
Okay.
That was when I had a head start.
Hatchet. Oh, you would have been allowed to get that.
And yeah, you're gonna veto me. I know you were.
Final Destination, which
I really wanted. Actually,
I would have been upset with because I just did that franchise watch about a year ago. Ghoulies, so essentially Critters.
I want that.
Candyman, which would have been the easiest one because there's only 3 of them.
Yeah.
We said that. Scary Movie. Friday the 13th. Insidious. 4 movies.
I only ever watched the first.
Saw, Sleepaway Camp.
Fantastic. That's 8 movies now. That's
I've done the Saw one. It's a fun watch, but it's long. Phantasm, which I'm really bummed because I just want to hear someone talk about it because I've never seen them actually.
This was one of those ones. I've seen the first one. It wasn't like I like horror, but it never really struck me. I kind of never got into it.
And then one that we would have included the remake on just because there's only 3, The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And also, Evil Dead remake is maybe one of the best remakes ever. Like it's gonna be like the thing.
So there were some really good choices on there.
And also, I didn't discuss this with the guys. I said it in a DM once, but we're gonna also do a flyby for October.
Yes.
The best horror movie kills.
Genius.
We're gonna fight it out and we're gonna talk it out. So look for a lot of horror content.
Yeah, baby.
So I just want to say, guys,
no other channels are going to be putting out horror-themed content, guys.
Not
this
at
is
all.
an exclusive thing. You're only going to be able to find on Flyover.
Also, I just want to say,
we just came up with it. We're going to do Halloween-themed content, guys.
Woo!
If everybody can, if you can do your Halloween costume for the episode in your movie, that would be pretty cool.
Ooh. All right, I'm listening as a priest.
All right, Brian, what's your pick?
Because we're going to be doing heavy horror this month and everybody's getting into the grim and gritty, there's a comedy I've been sitting on. It flew under the radar. It's like an early 2000s. It's got a very eclectic cast. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's a movie that I first kind of discovered right around the time I met my wife. We both still love it. It's one that she'll be excited to get to rewatch with me and have an excuse for, and that is Drowning Mona.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to look to see where we find
Danny DeVito, Bette Midler, Nev Campbell, Casey Affleck, Jamie Lee Curtis. This is I said, an early 2000s comedy. It's one that I truly enjoy very, very much. And I know my last time I brought a comedy on this show, it went over maybe not so hot.
And
but
guys,
I'm going to redeem myself and give you guys a little treat. So,
guys, it's on Crackle.
I got poop.
Oh, nice.
And also, that's a perfect palate cleanser for our next episode. Guys, we're doing horror. We got Drowning Mona. We got a lot of things coming up. We got a fucking bracket going out. Welcome to Flyover Potato Film. If this is your first time listening, it won't be your last. If it's your last time listening,
it's been all my life.
Yeah, it's probably your last.
By the way, right now, I'm buying the 4-film favorite for $10 of Critters.
Oh, nice.
I love you, Joe. Guys, Flyover Potato Film. We're out of here. Peace.